All right, good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Hopefully, some other folks will join as we go along, but we got a good starting crowd. As always, I've got Sensei Gordon here, or as always, this is our second session, but I've got Sensei Gordon here, so if you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the chat, and we'll try and respond to them here in the meeting. Also, let us know if there's any technical issues that we can solve. All right, I'm going to start by saying I'm a little disappointed tonight. I was asked to come in a little bit early so that they could work on hair and makeup, and unfortunately, this is all they could do for me. So apparently, I don't have a lot to work with there. So you're stuck with my ugly mug. Actually, I feel really lucky to be here tonight because this is sort of an anxious time. And in anxious times, I find that this has been my sanctuary over the last 8 or 9 years. So I am really feeling blessed that I'm able to be here with you all, at least virtually, and I get to be in this space. So I thought as we bow ourselves in, and I know that you guys are not as lucky, so you can't be here in this space with me right now, but I thought maybe we would take this opportunity to sort of try and visualize the space as we all meditate together, even though we're in different parts of Atlanta and we're all spread out. Let's all try and feel that same sense of unity that we get from being in the same space and meditating in that sort of conjoined energy. All right, so let's bow in. Neat. Ciao. Try and feel that dojo floor underneath your feet, wherever you are. Try and picture or at least listen to the sounds of Boulevard in the background that we always get to listen to as we're meditating in. Try and feel that sense of other folks out there meditating in their own spaces. We're about to share some time together. Hopefully have a distantly social class. And down. Gone. All right. I wanted to start off with a little bit of philosophy, and maybe this will give some folks a little bit of a longer chance to join in if they're just sort of figuring out the technological hurdles here. And I was going over the philosophy, looking over the whole list there, and I initially scanned across the 5 steps to health because I thought that that's just too obvious, especially in a public health crisis here. But then my eye kept sort of going back up to it, and I think that maybe I just want to talk a little bit about how we can sort of use this white belt level philosophy, this 5 steps to health, to really think about how we can preserve our health and what health means in the middle of this public health crisis. All right, and those 5 steps are, Clint, you got this one? I know, you can't talk, Clint, but I assume somewhere Clint is saying that it's think, eat, exercise, rest, and perform. All right, those are our 5 steps to health. And if we start off thinking about thinking, right, that's the first one there. I think that, you know, in some ways, our situation has skewed the way we would normally think about this particular philosophy. For me, I know that instead of just making sure that I am thinking about things is sometimes a trap, especially when I become anxious, and I tend to overthink. So I think when we think about thinking in terms of this philosophy and how we're going to use our Kung Fu training to get us through this hurdle, it's important that we don't overthink, right? Because if we start overthinking and thinking about all the what ifs, that's when anxiety really takes a hold. So we need to focus on what we can actually control within our own scope here. And we can think about the bigger picture, but we also want to make sure that we're thinking about the smaller scope as well, and not just getting caught up in all of the big picture. Second one is eat, and this one is also a little bit different because I know if you're like me, you're really struggling not to overeat at this point. You know, because we are home and we want something that is comforting, and so it's really easy to cook up some comfort food or constantly go over when we're bored to the fridge or the pantry. And so thinking about ways that we can sort of, you know, preserve our food, not necessarily because we're rationing it, but just because we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and taking care of our health and eating the right sort of stuff during this time. Exercise, that's why we're all here. That's our 3rd step to health. And hopefully you are taking advantage of some other exercise opportunities. I heard a colleague of mine say, or a friend of mine say today, that when he went into quarantine, he was 5'10", and now he's 5'4", because he spends all of his time hunched up over his keyboard like this. So it's important that even if you're home working or doing schoolwork all the time while we're in quarantine here, that you get out, do a little exercise, at least walk through the neighborhood. I know one of the benefits for me is that that gives me a chance to see my neighbors. And so I actually do have some personal interaction, even if it's across a street or across a fence post. The fourth step to health is rest. And I think this is another one that we struggle with, even though we're not doing very much. We struggle to get quality rest, during these times. So it's important to be able to put the screens aside, be able to put work aside, so we're not working 16-hour days, and try and get some adequate rest, because it really is important to our long-term health and our short-term health in this crisis as well. And the last one then is performing. And again, I think we have to think about this a little bit differently. Normally we would talk about, wanting to perform well in the dojo and well with our training. And that is certainly a really important role that we want to be thinking about. But, during times like this, we really need to think about other roles that we're performing, whether it's family member or student or employee. We have to think about sort of preserving ourselves and staying healthy so that we can perform those important roles. And also just preserve ourselves so that we're ready when we can get back in the dojo all together, we can all perform together. All right, good. Enough talking. Let's start some warm up. So I thought we would just start by loosening up. So just roll your head. Try and unkink some of those screen kinks you might have in your neck. Reverse direction. Look left and right. And up and down. Ear to shoulder. I know my neck's cracking. Hope you didn't hear that on the microphone. All right, and shoulders up and back. And forward. And arms forward. And arms back. Good, cross them in front. And twist at the waist and let the arms just go loose. Good. Rotate the hips. And reverse directions. Good. Feet together, rotate the knees. Reverse. And left ankle. Switch direction. And right ankle. And reverse. Good, shake it out. All right, kick your heels up behind. Knees up in front. Knees out to the side. Shake it out and jog in place. Knees up. Heels up. Good, right foot forward. Hands up in guard. Switch. And switch. Jab cross on the hut. 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 Switch. Jab cross. Hut. 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 Switch back. Full boxing sequence. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut. Hut. 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 Really like on Monday, use your hips like Sensei Gordon was saying. Hut. 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 Switch. Hut. 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 Good. Shake it out. Walk it out. All right. Lunge to your left. To the right. To the left. Turn that heel over. Really sink down into the stretch. Push that heel back into the floor. Lunge back to your right. Turn that heel over. Lunge to the left. Extend your inner chop. Lunging and chopping. Hut. 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 Really try and drive from the heels. Hut. Feel that power coming up from the floor. Hut. 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 Super hut. 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 1. Hut. 2. Hut. 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 Good. From here, we're going to front snap kick, set down reverse punch. Hut. 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 Good. From here, legs double shoulder width, stretch down. Pull over to your right. And left. Back to the middle. Bring your feet in, squat down. Slowly roll it up and then down on all fours. Hands and knees here. Just going to do a few cat cows, continue loosening up the spine. So arch it back up. And then bow it down. Arch it up. And then down. And up. And then down. Good. From here, come up into plank. Probably should have waited to talk about philosophy now while we're all in plank, right? Yeah. Next time. Push back into downward dog. Pedal your feet out. Extend your left leg up and back. We're going to do 10 crunches on each side. So bringing that knee into our elbow and then back out. On your own, go. You're done with those 10. Back to downward dog. And extend your right foot. And 10 on that side. And back to plank when you're done. And lower yourself down. Come in, cobra. It's warm in here tonight. And roll over, 20 leg lifts on your own. And up when you're done. I'm going to grab a quick drink of water. You can as well. All right. Excuse me while I scroll my teleprompter. We're going to work on a stance drill to start off tonight. And this is one of Sensei Seth's favorite techniques or to teach with. So we're going to start with that one. We're just going to go move through a sequence of stances. So start with a left cat stance. Slide that out to a diagonal stance. Shift to a forward stance. Move to a back stance. And shift to a side stance. And then we're going to reverse it. From here, back to a back stance. Out to a forward stance. Shift back to a diagonal stance. And then a cat stance. And then natural. Now the other side. So right cat. Come out to a diagonal stance. And think about what Sensei Gordon said about moving straight out and then turning at the last second. Drive off the heel when we pivot into forward stance. From here, move over into back stance. Shift to side stance. Now back to back stance. Over to forward. Shift back to diagonal. And then back to cat. And natural. One more time on the left. Cat stance. Diagonal. Forward stance. Back stance. Side stance. Back stance. Forward. Diagonal. And cat. And natural. Right side, cat stance, diagonal, forward stance, back stance, side stance, shift to back, forward, back to diagonal, cat stance, and natural stance. All right, we're gonna try and work some hand techniques into this. It's not too much. And if you don't know the hand technique, just substitute something that you do know. All right, so first of all, on the left side, we're gonna do a cat stance, knife hand block. Then when we come out into diagonal stance, low block, shift to forward stance, spear hand, back stance, rising block, side stance, back fist. Now we got to do it in reverse. Got to get back to where we started. So back stance, rising block, forward stance, spear hand, diagonal stance, low block, and cat stance, knife hand block, same hand, natural stance. On the left side, cat stance, knife hand, diagonal stance, low block, shift to forward stance, really driving off the heel, spear hand, back stance, rising block, side stance, back fist. All right, back stance, rising block, forward stance, spear hand, diagonal stance, low block, cat stance, knife hand, natural stance. Now let's see if we can get all the way through it together. I'm just gonna give one hut and go all the way through, but I'll go nice and slow. So on the left side, hut, and back, hut. Yeah, that's right. To natural. And on the right side, hut. And back. One more time on each side, a little bit faster. Hut. And back. And natural. And on the right side, hut. And back. And natural. Shake it out. All right, what's next? Oh yeah, some kicks. So really easy to neglect our lower body when we're sitting at a desk all the time or on the sofa all the time, this case may be. So we're gonna work a little bit on our kicks. And I want us to do short right forward stance. We're just gonna do front snap kicks, but I want you to do them at 30% speed and really think about your technique. So opening the gate, hitting our kicking stance, full extension, back to kicking stance, and down. So do 5 at 30% speed on your own. Go. No faster than that. Now I want you to do 5 relatively fast. Doesn't mean strong, doesn't mean you have to put a lot of muscle behind it. Stay loose and just snap it out there and then back. All right, no higher than the belt. Hut. 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 Not sure if that's 4 or 5. We'll do one more. Hut. All right, last 5, we're gonna do strong. Now I want you to think about when you do this, opening, keeping the speed and the relaxation, but then adding that hip motion forward. So we're driving into our kicks. All right, 5 strong. Hut. 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 Good. All right, other side. So left foot forward, kicking with the right leg. 30% speed. Hut. 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 Really keep that knee up when you come back to kicking stance. Hut. 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 That was certainly 5. All right, 5 fast. Relaxation, remember, everything loose. Hut. 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 And 5 strong. Really pushing that hip forward. Think about the foot position. So ball of the toes pointed forward or ball of the foot. Hut. 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 Good. Shake it out, rotate the hips. All right. Right foot forward again. We're gonna do the same thing, but with crescent kick. If you don't know crescent kick, do front thrust. All right, but crescent kick, 30% speed. Hut. So foot's gotta come up, pointed at one shoulder, pull across to the other. Hut. Hut. That wasn't 30% speed, slower. Hut. Hut. All right, now fast. So think about loose and whipping it through. Hut. 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 And strong. Hip drives forward. Even on this kick. Really pushing it out. Hut. 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 Good. Other side. I'm going to take a break. You keep going because I have to talk. Slow. 30% speed. Hut. Hut. She opening that foot. Hut. Pull all the way across the center line. Hut. Hut. All right, now 5 on your own, fast. Hut. I'm going to assume you're done. This is hard without the visual cues. All right, 5 with power. Really driving that hip forward. Hut. All right, good. Let's do the same thing with side kick. And actually, if you're green belt and above, why don't you do heel kick? You don't have to do them high, but think about getting the kick out and then coming across. If you're below green belt, just a side kick. Just rotating it over, really trying to lead with the heel and the knife edge of the foot. All right, so on the left side, 30%. Hut. 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 Good. 5 fast on your own. Hut. And 5 strong. Hut. Good. On the right side, I do 5 slow. Hut. Hut. Try not to let your knee drop. I noticed mine dropping a little bit that time. So when your kick comes up, try and keep the knee at that level all the way out. Third one. Hut. Fourth. Hut. Keep your balance, unlike me. And fifth. Hut. And 5 fast to the right. Hut. And 5 strong with power. We're thinking about turning that hip over. Hut. All right, good. Grab a quick drink of water when you're done. All right, so I know most of us have Tambo in our curriculum. We're not all gonna have the space to do Tambo in our house. We may also not have our Tambos with us. That's fine, we're gonna try Tambo-less Tambo tonight. So I want you to get your right arm forward, and even if you don't know Tambo, just go along with it. We can work on our chop techniques. All right, so I want you to think about loading up, just like we were loading up for our Tambo, but I want you to think about pushing that elbow out. So power is generated from the elbow, and then that hand whips out there and then down. So from the front, think about really pulling this elbow back, driving out, driving out with the elbow, and then the coil of the whip unfurls, and I chop through, and then all the way down to the side. All right, so that's gonna be our first strike. It's out and down. Let's do that a few times. Really think about pulling that elbow forward, using these muscles to generate the power. Hut. Hut. Speed it up a little. Hut. Hut. Let's stand to the side. Hut. Hut. What's nice about this is that it would be the same strike as if we had a stick, right? Because the stick follows the line of these knuckles, right? And so it would be coming down like that. We're doing the same thing with our chops here. All right, let's try our second strike. So first strike is right to left or left to right for you. Second strike, this one's a little more awkward. We're gonna load up behind our head and then think about pulling through with our elbow this way. So it pulls through to the center line and then chops out and across. Down and out. Just go through the motion a couple of times. It feels a little awkward, but the thing you wanna do is not extend out here and then just wave a straight arm, especially if you have a Tambo, right? You wanna keep that coil and then out. So the elbow comes out, then the hand, and then strikes through. A few more. Hit, hit, hit. All right, now we'll do a horizontal strike. And again, think about leading with that elbow. Out, chop, and across. Hit, hit, out, chop, cross. Everything's going through that center striking point. Hit, hit. Good, and then switching up. We're gonna switch to the side. This is gonna give it a little more awkward. Gotta really try and tip that arm over, pull that elbow through, and then chop out. It's not really gonna be as effective, but we're just trying to hold this hand back so that we get that crack of the whip. All right, so pull that through to the center line and across. A few more, across, and at speed. Hut, hut, hut. Good. Now let's load up for our upward diagonal strike. So we're gonna load it up by our belt here. And again, think about pulling elbow to the center line, hand to the center line, and through. All right, just through the motion, elbow, hand, through, and elbow, hand, through. 3 at speed. Hut, And now for the most awkward one, we're going to load up on the side here and think about, again, sort of trying to pull that elbow through, right, without bending too much here. We don't want to loop over our hand that way. But I'm just thinking about as much as I can, trying to hold the chop back. All right, so I'm here so that then it extends fully when I hit my actual striking point. So elbows coming through, chop, and then through. Just go through the motion. So from here, elbow comes forward as much as we can, hand chops, and then through. Through. Couple at speed. Hit. Hit. Good. Let's do the first two. So that is 2 downward diagonal. 1, 2. Trying to keep the same form we were just working on. Hit. 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 Good. Let's switch to horizontal and do 2. And other thing I want you to think about here is that we don't chop and then roll over our hand and finish the strike. So we have to elbow, chop, and then we finish the strike, and then we can roll it over for our return chop. And this one finishes all the way to the side and then reloads. All right, hit, 2 horizontal. Don't roll it over too soon. Hit. 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 Good, drop it down to 5th parking lot here for 2 upward diagonal strikes. Hit, so pull through and pull through. Again, we're not rolling over when we get here and anticipating a load. So we got to chop that all the way to the side and then roll over. Hit. Hit. Check your striking point. Make sure all your strikes are going through the same point, even though we're chopping and not swinging the stick. Hit. I'm sure I'll watch the video later and see mine or not. That's all right. Hit. We're all working on it. Hit. Good. Reset for the first strike. We're going to do all 6 strikes. Hit. Think about that elbow. Hit. One more. Hit. All right, switch to your left hand. Now it gets easier for me. All right, so we're loaded up for our right chop or our tambo swing here. Again, think about pulling with the elbow. Out and down. Out and down. Couple at speed. Hit. And the other diagonal, elbow first. Hit. And horizontal. Hit. Elbow pulls. Doesn't roll over too soon. Reset. Elbow pulls. And one more. And then load up for the 4th strike. Elbow pulls, cross first. Cross. 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 Load up for your 5th strike. Hit. 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 And your 6th one, the awkward one. Hit. 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 Good. All the way through. Actually, first 2 chops. We'll do the 2 downward diagonals. Hit. 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 And horizontal. Hit. Check, make sure you're not rolling it over too soon. Hit. Talking to my green belt class specifically there. Hit. Hit. And upward diagonal. Hit. 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 Good, all 6 strikes. Hit. Hit. Good, shake the arms out. All right, we got about 4 minutes left, and I don't want to leave without completely not touching on kata, since it's such a big part of our curriculum. But since we have so many different ranks present, or at least in the dojo, I want to sort of adapt this so that we can all work on our own kata, but separately. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 6 moves in 4 directions, but I want you to do the opening move to your kata, your test kata. All right, so whether that's kata 1, and we're going to go forward here, or if it's pin on 3, I'm going to step out here, 1, 2, it's empty here. Actually, we should move forward with that one. So here, that's hard to do. Good luck, brown belts. All right, so you get the idea. I'm going to do pin on 4, since it's sort of a middle ground. Actually, I'll do pin on 2, a little more complicated. And I'm going to turn around so we can all get the footwork here. So if you can't think of a kata or you can't figure out how to make the opening move work, just do pin on 2 along with me. So we're going to go forward on our left-hand side. Hit. And then reset. Forward on the right side. Hit. '90 to the left. The trick is hitting that cat stance first. Hit. And reset. And 90 to the right. Hit. Reset. 180 to the left, so over our left shoulder. Hit. And reset. And 180 to the right. Hit. Good, one more time through. A little bit faster, a little bit stronger. Forward left. Hit. Forward right. '90 left. Hit. '90 right. Hit. '180 left. Hit. And 180 right. Hit. All right, good. Shake it out. And I think we are at 7:45. So thank you all for spending this 45 minutes with us. We will be back here on Mondays and Thursdays, and look forward to seeing you again there. We will bow out now. Ni. Cha. Meditate. And down. Come. Thank you all very much.